this is Shel from Paper Octio Studio, and it's time for my version of June's Pick a Stick Challenge. This is a Facebook group that myself and my friends have created where we offer a monthly challenge. We pick 10 stick prompts, which are just completely random, and then we ask you to follow along in the 10 steps and then make a page and share it on the Facebook group, make a video, or just make it for yourself and don't share it at all. It's up to you. So I will have a link for the Facebook group if you want to join in right down below, and please come and join us. It's a lot of fun. So step 1 was make a mess and blot it up. I have some new golden high flow paints that were a gift, and I'm trying them out. So I was wanting gold, and there's an iridescent gold, and then there was like a medium gray, which I thought would be a neutral, and then the Hansa yellow. And I squirted those on, and I put water on them and let them like drip and smush, and then I blotted them up with a baby wipe, and it worked. Actually, it was a paper towel, and it worked really well. Step 2 was to add numbers. I have this stencil, I believe it's from Crafter's Workshop. I've been asked to include supply lists in my description below, so I will look it up and I will tell you what it is along with all the colors and products that I used so that you'll know, I guess, if you wanted to use them yourself. So the paint I'm using is Pebeo Dyna, and it's a turquoise color. My color scheme and idea was to be very opulent and to use colors like Egyptian colors like turquoise and gold, and you know what I'm talking about, like rich looking stuff. And so I was using the different shimmery metallics like the iridescent gold from the golden high flow, and then this is a very shimmery iridescent paint as well, the Pebeo Dyna paints. They're super shimmery. So that was what I was going for, and so I picked that color to add into my color scheme. The next thing, step 3, is to do crayon resist with acrylic. I'm not sure where this prompt came from. I don't know who decided on this one, but it doesn't work well with acrylic. Acrylic has polymers in it to bind. It has plastics in it to bind to whatever you put it on. And sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. In theory, it could be resisted by wax, but really it just kind of sticks to the wax. This technique I think would work better with a water-based product like a watercolor, and I will probably be trying that out soon. But I used a crayon in white, and then I really watered down my paint. This is Decoarts fluid paint, and then I added water to it in an attempt to get that waxy crayon to resist. It didn't resist very well. It did okay, but it wasn't like the wow moment that you would expect, I guess is what I'm saying. It just wasn't the wow moment you would expect. So I just added like some little streamer type things on the sides of my pages, and there I am showing it to you. Step 4, write something with love. I decided to use my fine tip white Posca pen to write because I thought that it would blend into the background and you wouldn't see it. I didn't really want anyone to see the writing. It was just a design element. It shows up too much and I don't like it, and so I work with that later. Step 5, create a tag to use on your page. I had these little tag punch outs that I thought looked like shopping, like something you'd see on an item that you're trying to buy. What am I trying to say? You know, the price tag. There we go. Jeez, some days my brain isn't working. I thought they looked like price tags, and that was what I wanted to use. And so I am just making them a little bit shimmery with the gold high flow iridescent gold paint, and then also putting a little bit of that Pebeo Dyna around the edges with the sponge. And then I decided they still wouldn't stand out enough, so I decided to back them with a piece of turquoise cardstock. And they have rounded edges, so I wanted to round my edges, but my corner biter made it almost an oval. So I ended up having to cut them by hand because I didn't have a corner biter that would bite that small of a corner. You know, first world problems. I didn't have the right corner biter. So I just go ahead and glue them onto the cardstock with some tacky glue and then cut around them with my scissors and try to make it fairly even and fairly rounded. I did okay. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do. And then I'm going to punch them out with my regular hole punch and make them back into tags, because right now they wouldn't be tags because the hole's not punched. But I thought they added a cute little dangly element. You'll see what I do with them here. I've got some regular old cotton string, like I don't even know what you use that for, but it's just cotton string. And I punch out a hole at the corner of my page and tie on the string, and then I add the tags to it. I can't get them to go through the hole, so I end up putting some tape on the string to get it to go through the hole without separating into a million little shreds like it was. And then I put each one on and glue them down so that they stay where I want them. I didn't want them to actually dangle, I just wanted them to have the appearance of dangling, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you do. And then on the last one I just tied a knot to tie off the string as if they were dangling from the string. Step 6 was to add a fashion element. Now this, when I read these, I did make kind of a plan before I started my page. I didn't just wing it. I was trying to come up with something that was a fashion element. What does that mean? You know, that's one of our challenge prompts that makes you think, what does it mean to you? And to me, a fashion element is like an accessory or something like that. And so I wanted shoes. And so I have these 2 fashion magazines that my friend Katie Jordan gave me. She sent them to me in Happy Mail because I was complaining I didn't have any magazines. And there was some articles about shoes in one of them, the Bazaar magazine. And so I cut out all these little shoes, and I did them while I was watching Brother versus Brother. And if anybody watches that, I totally want Jonathan's house. Oh my gosh, that is such a cool house. I totally want it. I don't want to move to Las Vegas, but I really want that house. Anyway, that was off the subject. So I cut these out while I was watching television, and then I laid them out onto my page because I wanted a mountain of shoes, like, you know, someone who's so obsessed with shoes and they just have a full closet of shoes. I wanted a big pile of them. So I laid them out onto my page and took a picture once I was happy with it, and that's what I'm looking at there on my iPad, is my pre-planning of the collage elements so that I would know where each shoe was in my pile. I could have probably just winged it, but I wanted it to have a specific look, and so I'm gluing these down with Decoarts Decou-page Satin finish. One of the little things that I have like a little pet peeve about people collaging and talking about it on YouTube, and they're always saying, I'm going to use some matte medium, and so everyone thinks they need to use matte medium. And what matte medium is what it sounds like, matte. It makes things flat and non-shiny, non-shimmery. And since I'm going for this opulent look on my page with all this shimmery paint, I don't want to dull down the paint using matte medium. So I'm looking for a medium that's either got a glossy finish or a satin finish so that it doesn't dull all my shimmery, shiny paint. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So matte medium isn't always what you need. You need glue, and you need it to have the finish that you need it to have, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't have any glossy medium because I rarely use anything glossy, and so that's why I use the satin, which is a semi-gloss type of a finish. Okay, the next step was to stitch. So I left, I came back, and I stitched. I wanted to use black thread around the edge to make a border, so I used my sewing machine, and then I came back. And then step 8 was to use alcohol. This is a technique that I really enjoy, and I did it extensively on one of my collages that has an octopus that's on my channel, and I'll put a little iCard as I'm talking about this to show you really what you can do with this alcohol technique. But the idea is to really water down acrylic paint and then put it on in layers and drop a high concentrate of alcohol, which this is 92% alcohol, on it, and then it separates the polymers and makes like a little blooming puddle. And it's a really cool effect, and if you layer it and layer it and layer it, it looks like deep water. So the interesting thing that I found, and I keep messing with it, is that this iridescent high flow paint, it doesn't react the same way as regular acrylic. It doesn't want to bloom like I was trying to get it to do it. I keep trying to get it to do it, but it won't. It doesn't seem to like to do it. So I think it has something to do with the mica being too heavy and the alcohol can't push it out of the way, is what I'm thinking. But I don't know. I'm not a paint scientist. So I just keep putting it on. I now wish that I had not put that darker turquoise in behind the shoes, and that I just would have left the lighter color, because they get kind of lost in all the darkness, and I didn't feel like fixing that. So the next step is to draw something. I decided to draw scribble writing. This is something that Carolyn Doobie does a lot on her videos, scribble writing. The reason that I did that is because I had that white writing there in the section, and I didn't like it. I wanted it to go away, so I just decided to camouflage it by making other writing in white all over to make like more of a design element. Then step 10 is to use images. Well, I already used images. Look at all those shoes. I was like, grr. But then I had these other little bits that I had cut out from the same magazine articles about shoes, and they're images because they're images in a magazine, so I decided to just put those on the page. And yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. They are images because I cut them from a magazine, even though they are not pictures. That's what's fun about this challenge, is that you take the prompts and you interpret them the way that you want to. We were discussing pretty extensively that perhaps the use alcohol step could be drinking a margarita or something like that. You're using alcohol, right? And that's what I love about this challenge, is that you can interpret it any way you want. It's up to you, and it's your creativity and how you use it. So then I got a little bit guilty about draw something that I had actually just made scribble writing, so I decided to actually draw something. And I thought that one area in the page needed an element. I also needed to bring the red in the top shoe down through the page, because it's just like this bright reddy orangey colors up at the top and not anywhere on the page. So I decided to draw a heart and make it red and orangey, and then I put a little bit of that shimmery gold paint on it as well. Then I decided I was going to add numbers onto it, because I really think that that number element is pretty cool, and it kind of got lost in the background. Also, it's kind of a commentary on shoes and the love of shoes and the fact that they're so very, very expensive. Unless you want to get flip-flops for 10 bucks, you know, if you want any nice shoes, they're going to cost you. And if you want any designer shoes, forget about it. They're like $300, $350. So it was just kind of a commentary on commercialism and the idea of spending so much on something that really, to make, costs so little. So I did want to add back in my number element. And then I wrote with my food ball pen, I wrote "I love shoes," and I made the S in the shoes a money sign, so that maybe someone would get it, you know. This is the fussing portion. This is where I just kind of mess with stuff. I didn't like that I left white parts when I was cutting on that shoe, and so I just used a fine brush to fill in with turquoise so that it wouldn't stand out as much. And then I decided that these shoes cannot just be floating in air, and you know how I feel about that, so I decided to make some shadows where they should sit, and then I decided maybe I'll just make shadows under all of them. So that is my Stabilo All pencil, and I need to write that down as well, Stabilo All. So this whole list of stuff that I used will be in the description below for those who need to understand what I used and want to try it out as well. And of course the link to our Facebook group, which I hope you all come and join us. It's a lot of fun. Also, if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, comment so that I know you're here, share on Pinterest or something. And those things help my channel grow, because then YouTube understands that I'm making something valuable and they recommend it to someone else because you've said that you liked it. So all that is really great. This last little bit that I'm doing is using my fine tip Posca white and just adding some little highlight areas on the shoes to try to get them to come forward a little bit. Didn't work that great because the background's too dark and too messy, but hey, it is what it is, and I had a lot of fun. So that's it for me, and here come the close-ups. Bye-bye.